Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, morning. Welcome. Oh, I see more at the top, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Let me try that again. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzie edition.
I keep playing around with the angle and where the camera is and what it's seeing, so you get to see. That's what the very top of the pretty wall looks like. That means I might have tilted it back, but I kind of like. I think we're okay.
Oh.
I'm seeing the world through new eyes because I got new lenses in my glasses. I'll come back to that in a second. Hi, I'm Rebecca with my glasses sliding down my face. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in gloomy and rainy, but hopefully clearing up, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
It is not cold yet. It's supposed to be getting cold tonight.
Yeah, like...
Frigidly beyond crazy cold for us.
Pretty much right before we wake up.
Yeah. Shout out to Donna. She said it was like 13 yesterday in Alaska.
Yeah.
So she's getting it before us. But yeah, it's supposed to plummet overnight. And we're supposed to be, in the teens tomorrow?
Yeah.
Which for us is not normal at all. I'm moving this over. Okay. So you see what happened with this. And people are like, oh, you have glasses now. For some people know I wear contacts. And I can't see anything without my contacts and glasses. Like this, oh my gosh. That's a blob.
Yeah.
You're a slightly defined blob. Yeah. So so I have these are frames I've had for a year, and they're all nice and wiggly, like, which they said they couldn't tighten when they put my new lenses in. But I got new lenses this morning. I wasn't sure if it was going to delay our filming, and I think we're pretty much on time, which is great.
We're pretty much on time.
But I am officially getting older in that I have progressive lenses now.
Ooh.
So, you can't see that I have bifocals, essentially, or trifocals, but I do. And they were trying to ease me into them and say, just get the new prescription now, and you can wait until you get the bifocals till next year. And I went, I had bifocals in 4th grade because they thought it would slow the deterioration of my vision. So having them at 45 is no big deal. But then I sprung for the progressives where you can't tell anyway. There's nothing psychological going on of like, oh no, I need things to read now. I mean, only a little. Because I look younger than I am. So, and you can't even tell that the little lines are there. So, and I was made fun of in 4th grade for having bifocals. So, I'm over it. Mostly, So, anyway. But I do like these frames quite a bit. I have to see how long I can function in them today, especially with the mask and everything. I brought my contacts in case I needed them. But I figured when I picked up my glasses last year, I had my contacts in. So they put them on my face, and I'm like, I think they're fine. I couldn't tell if I could see because I had my contacts in. So today I decided to go in my glasses so I could put them on and go, ooh, yes, I can see. And I can for the most part. And I was telling Liz that I glanced down at my watch because she sent me a text while I was driving, and I glanced at it real fast and went, holy crap, that's clear through the bottom part of these, right? So I think I needed them.
I've been telling you that for a year.
Yeah, but since she's not an eye doctor, I went, I will say it's weird around the edges, and it's weird if I'm just walking across. I mean, again, I've had these for less than an hour. It's weird when I'm walking across the shop and I try to look down at my feet. That doesn't work. Like looking like this without turning my head. I'm going to have to learn to turn my head more to see things when I wear these.
It's going to be fun all day long.
Well, there's a really good chance I'm going to pop my contacts in really soon. But it's kind of fun to experiment with this, too. So, yeah, so there's that. But I really only wear these at night. But it's nice to have an option that will be good for me in case I need to take a break from my contacts for whatever reason. Or, yes, I don't have extra contacts or something. Anyway, that's the aside. But, yeah, I was definitely at the point of reading patterns with clients and looking at what size needles they were and fudging it a little bit. So this will be good. This will be fantastic. Yeah. I figured I'd wear these for y'all so you could see my lovely glasses. I think I've done that maybe once before. We've had one or two filmings where I've had these on. But, so, today is the last day of filming for us for 2022. Because on Saturday, I'm already going through the throws. This is why I went and got the glasses this morning. When I got the text yesterday the lenses were in, I was like, ooh, got to plan how to figure this all out because I'm flying to Illinois on Saturday. If all things go according to plan, weather-wise. And I have a huge list of things to get done before then. And the shop is getting busy. So getting it done while at work is not going to happen most likely, although today's a dreary mess, so we'll just have to see.
We'll see.
Right? And I went home last night and was like, I am going to start cleaning the house and start packing more and organizing. And I went home and went, I can't move because I'm so tired. Yeah. So, because we had a really busy day yesterday. And thank you, all who came by. But yes, we had a really busy day. So, I'm behind schedule, but I have my new glasses. Yes?
Speaking of schedule, something to factor in. Asheville Airport says they are so busy, show up 2 hours.
I always show up 2 hours before.
Good.
Even the small airports where I'm not supposed to. My parents trained me.
Good.
I
was like, I can't remember what Rebecca's buffer was.
Okay, so let's review. My flight is just about noon. It's like a few minutes before noon. I'm calling it noon. I want to try to get to the airport. I would like to get to security or check-in, bag check-in, whatever, by 10.
Yeah.
So that means that, and the airport is an hour and a half away from my house. So I'm probably going to leave at 8 to leave time for finding long-term parking and waiting for the shuttle.
Good.
So yes, even though Greenville's a little bigger than Asheville. Yeah. But not too much. And I was
like, if Asheville's having issues.
Yeah, well, everyone's having issues. Christmas Eve is this weird bubble, though, where either it's going to be slammed or there's going to be nobody.
Yeah.
Because everybody already traveled. I think it will be slammed because people who want to already travel are getting stuck over the next couple days because of weather, right? So the people who are trying to travel early are going to get pushed into my bubble of comfort, which is Christmas Eve. So, but I am not giving up my seat. I am making it to my destination. So
on the way home, you have a day or two. So if they offer you something really good,
potentially, I could say. Although I'm leaving on, at this point, I'm leaving on the same flight as my parents.
Yes.
So I don't think I would, unless we all get bumped.
Planes.
Yes, in Atlanta. I don't know if I want to stay in Atlanta longer than I have to, though. It depends on how much they are willing to give me.
Yes.
So to stay in Atlanta longer than necessary. And I don't mean anything against Atlanta. I love Atlanta. The airport, however, it's wonderful. I don't like airports. I'd rather not be spending long periods of time in airports. That's all. So, yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. The offer is too good to refuse. We'll see. So, but it's true. I'm not flying in the day before the shop opens. I'm coming back on the 30th.
Yeah.
So I have some buffer time to actually like decompress from travel and seeing family, which is both a lovely thing to do and probably going to be exhausting. I love my family, but it's always exhausting to travel and such and such and such.
So you'll have a few days to sleep.
Hopefully. And have my cat forgive me for leaving him and all those things. So, so two things I thought we would talk about today, because we don't have extra questions, right?
Nope, I just checked.
Everyone's taking a break from us for they know we're getting ready for the Christmas break and all. I wanted to do a little bit of follow-up on last week's conversation.
Yes.
Where we talked about needle sizes, because we found some things out, and I remembered some other things we could talk about. And then I want to show off my gnomes. They're all here. I have all of them. And the only thing I have left is to make a walking stick for my dad's. So, and decide if I want to fuzz up his beard or not. We'll see. I kind of like it not fuzzy, but we'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to leave you all in suspense about that for a second. And needle sizes. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about was we mentioned the half sizes, which are so weird. It's like they forgot, or like we don't know, but we make up the story that they numbered things and then went, oops, we need these ones in between. There might be a different reason for it. We have no idea. But we talked about, the 10 and a half and 10 and 3/4 and 10 and 7/8. Down on the teeny tiny end of things, there are, first of all, you hit a 0, which is what, a 2 millimeter, I think? I believe it's a 2 millimeter. And there are smaller things than a 0 in the U.S. system. You go to like the most common are 00 and 000, which might sound super crazy. Like, why are you doing that? But needles are not the only things that go into like multiples of zeros when you get that small. Like, we have brushes that do the same thing. That once you hit a 0, but you want smaller than that, they start just adding zeros on. And I want to say shout out to Shelby Rose. She was just like, that's crazy. But guess what? Because it was one of the reasons she either went by millimeters or used the UK system. The UK system does it too on the other end. It's opposite. The UK system has double, because I was so curious afterwards with the comments that were coming in that I looked up some charts. Like, someone said, hey, could you do a tips and tricks on this? I would say for now, because I don't know what I can get to when, just Google the chart. They're out there. Comparisons of UK to U.S. labels. UK, because the bigger the number, the smaller it is. When you hit a 0 in UK, and I forget what millimeter it is, but they go into double and triple zeros too to get bigger, which is funky, I know, but we both have it then. I'm going to scroll around for a little bit because there is a magic tipping point where, and I think this is very magical actually, like, because I was wondering, okay, so the US labels get bigger and the UK labels get smaller, anyway, they go in opposite directions. There is a magic point where everything's the same, and it's a 7. And I think that's magical because that's also the one in crochet hook sizes.
That's the mythical.
We call it the mythological 7 because crochet hooks for the U.S. uses letters, except for the 7 because it's one that's in between an H and a G. They call it a 7, even though it's a 4.5 millimeter, because it's the same as a U.S. 7 knitting needle. So they slap that label on it. But guess what? In the UK, a UK 7 is a 4.5 millimeter as well. It's the same. It's like the magical convergence. There must be a vortex right there, where you can go through to the other portal dimension, of everything's labeled a 7 in at least the Western systems, right, is the same size.
We did, and I can't remember who left the comment about wire gauge.
Yes, that's the other thing. And then we'll get back to we'll circle back to the small sizes, half sizes thing.
We looked up, I looked up knitting needles and wire gauge, and...
Well, the comment, before you do that, let me just say, the comment was about metal crochet hooks and how their numbers probably have to do with... The steel crochet hooks. Yeah, the steel crochet hooks probably have to do with wire gauge. Back to you.
So, looked it up. And
I'm getting hot.
British knitting needles, the reason they get small or bigger numbers
as they get
smaller, just like steel crochet hooks do, is based on wire gauge. Because way back in the day, they used to use steel knitting needles that had to go through all the dyes, and the more dyes to make them smaller.
The extruders. So by dyes, we don't mean dyeing yarn.
Yeah.
We mean the cast of the circle that the wire had to be pushed through to make it thinner. And
so a 13 has to go through 13 dyes to get it the size that...
It has to go through 13 passes, and each one gets a little smaller. Yeah. That's why a bigger, because my brain hurts when I try to think about a bigger number means a smaller thing. But there is a way it logically makes sense because it has to go through 13 passes, and each one gets a little smaller for it to come out the right size, because you're starting with steel, and then so you can't just take steel and be like, I'm like, pull it like taffy. Yeah, it's a process. So it's not just pull it, keep measuring. It's like it actually has something that you push it through, that
like pasta.
There you go. So kind of fun, right? So so that comment about the steel crochet hooks is exactly the same as, and steel crochet hooks are tinier than, and some of the numbers might sound the same, but they're tinier than knitting needles. But it's the same idea of starting big and getting small. To get small, it's more passes through the machines, and that is where the number comes from. Because that always got me off when I was shopping for wire gauge for things, and I'm like, why isn't 8 thicker than a 10? Or like it now it makes more sense.
We still have no idea why the American numbering system for knitting needles is.
I think someone who we don't have conclusive proof.
Yeah.
I think someone in the American, like, who is starting to popularize stuff over in the U.S. said, well, it's silly that the numbers go in reverse, and I think the numbers should go in this direction. And they like made up their own system that has nothing to do with the process of making, they just kind of went, well, I think logically we should do this. And because, us Americans, we just do what we want. So anyway, but we don't know that for a fact. We didn't find conclusive evidence of that necessarily. So, but the one last thing I want to say about needle sizes, which I just find fascinating, I geek out over all this stuff, is the half sizes. You will also find them at the teeny tiny end of U.S. labeling. There's 0, 1, and then there's a 1.5, and it's and there's 2, and there's a 2.5, and then a 3, and then we lose the half sizes until you hit a 10. So zeros, but down there we're talking quarters of millimeters of difference. And then in the middle, things tend to jump by half millimeters, and they don't go any smaller than a half millimeter as you get bigger. If anything, they go by whole or multiple millimeters. We were talking about that last time. So a 0 is a 2 millimeter. A 1, I want to say, is a 2.25 millimeter. A 1.5, like, okay, a 2 is a 2.75, like it jumps by a half millimeter. And then a 3, I want to go look at these now because now I'm confusing myself, might be a 3.25. Like a 3 is not a 3 millimeter. So a 2.5, a US 2.5 is 3 millimeters. Like, somehow the whole millimeter one, they skipped when they were numbering, and they went back and started putting decimals in. And a 1.5 is a 2.5. Now here's where it gets weird. We might have mentioned this last week. I can't remember if we did, but there are. I
don't think we did.
There are a couple companies, like, you have to be careful about millimeters, because there are a couple companies that, and they're German companies. Just happens that they're both German companies. Their U.S. labels for things don't match the millimeters of other companies' labels. And what I mean is in Addies and Prims. And it's only with the teeny tiny ones.
Yep.
Addies and Prims. I first noticed it where I was using, I made a pair of mittens with US 2s. And then I made another pair of gloves, so like fingers and everything. And then I made another pair of gloves with Addie 2s. I forget what the other ones were. They were not Addies, but they were Addies, and they said US 2 on them. And I said, why do these feel like they're coming out bigger? And I looked down, and Addie US 2s are 3 millimeters, which technically a lot of the rest of needle companies, that's what they would label a US 2.5. So, and I've noticed it's the same thing with Prims. Mm-hmm. The Prim 2s, and they're both companies that produce things in Germany, or the ownership is in Germany. The Prim US 2, what they label as a US 2, is actually a 3 millimeter, so it will be the same girth as like a Chowgu 2.5. So it's really important down there to pay attention to the millimeters on things. Because if you just say, I just want a US 2, you may end up with needles of different sizes, depending on the company that made them. And I've noticed with Prims, and it's probably the same with Addies, but I don't use Addies as much. The Prims that we have, the smallest size Prim we can get is labeled as a US 1. But the millimeters will match a US 1.5. Now, the difference is a quarter of a millimeter, and that might sound like it does not matter. Like, so what? It actually can change the size of things, especially gloves and socks and things like that.
When you're looking at such tiny bits, everybody's like, yeah, but like the starting question last week where I was like a 7 millimeter, bumping it up to an 8 millimeter.
That's huge.
That's huge, especially if you're doing a sweater where it's like so many stitches around and you're adding 1 millimeter per stitch. You're looking at several centimeters.
Mm-hmm. Like, there's a way to do the math and figure it out. But yeah, and when you're doing tiny like gloves, even a millimeter over 4 stitches, you're looking at how many stitches for around a finger. Usually like 10. Well, no, it might be more like 10 or 20. Like maybe 20 stitches. But if
so
those
you're
stitches
looking at almost half a centimeter,
Which is awesome if you're just trying to make gloves a little bit bigger for bigger hands. Then just go up like 1 size or 2 of needles. That might be fantastic. I will say when I was making socks, and it's like most socks are made somewhere between a 2 and a 0 on needles. And for a lot of sock knitters, they'll be like, whatever. Or they'll settle into the one that's comfortable for them. I was following a pattern where it was a cast on of 64 is a common cast on. And it was on a US 1.5, which, again, that's like a 2.5 millimeter. And then I made them again because I really like tighter stitches. So I'm like, I'm going to make the same socks again, different yarn, which can change things, but I'm going to make them on 0s. The first pair I made, I followed her instructions with her needle size. And then the second I made, I'm like, I really like 0s and how the tight stitches feel. And I tried to follow the instructions for the same size sock. And actually it wasn't, I think it was the 54. It was the smaller size, number cast on. And I finished the toe and realized it wasn't going to fit my foot.
It was noticeably.
Like the smaller size number on the 1.5, and then I moved up to the bigger size. It's a difference of like 10 stitches, which doesn't sound like a lot. But on the smaller needle, the bigger cast on, the toe came out the same size as the smaller cast on the bigger needles. So you might think, well, a quarter of a millimeter, that's not going to change anything. Depending on what you're making, it can. So gauge can be super important sometimes. I talk to my beginning knitters and crocheters about gauge is important when you want something to fit right, which may not be your objective, or I think should not be your objective when you're just learning. Just learn the stitches. Have fun. Make something that it doesn't matter if it comes out the right size or not. A scarf, a shawl, a cowl, Like, within reason, a cowl's still going to fit over your head, even if the stitches are a little looser or tighter.
Yeah.
Within reason, right? So that's my fun thing about all that. That was, we're so nerdy about it. I love it. Geeky, whichever one applies.
The only thing I know about the tiny needles, because I don't use them, I've used like a 2s once or 2.5s once for a hat.
Because they're mythological and scary.
They're scary and horrible. But my ethereal weight yarn.
Yes.
I'm doing it on a size 1 needle. And the size 1 needle is a whole millimeter bigger than the 4-0 needle that is recommended for the yarn.
And
that's the only thing
that
sticks in my head is like, I'm doing it 1 millimeter bigger, and it's still itty bitty, and I haven't worked on it in forever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe that's what you could do. Everyone has suggestions about what we could do over break, and we'll just see. It's all good. No, I want to make some gloves with some hand dye over break, and the pattern calls for, I forget. I want to say the pattern calls for like a 1. But I really want to use my prim ones, which are going to be a 1.5, and I have to see if that's going to work. Or maybe I'm going to make them smaller size and see if it comes out the right size for my hands. Because I think I want to make them on double points, and if I do that, I'm going to want my prims rather than... I'm trying to, especially if I make them on the plane. Socks are a lovely project for the plane, except I have dropped double point needles on a flight and had them roll behind me, and then I have to talk to the people behind me, or like I'm not able to reach them. So I like to do things on like circulars, like 2 circulars or something like that if I can, but then I also, that can be wonky through security. I've never had anyone take anything away from security, but you know, most of the things I'd like to bring on the plane this time are on double points. And I'm trying to make sure that I have them on double points that won't slip and fall, but there's always dropping the one in my free hand could happen. So
it's never a thing.
It's always a thing for me. So, okay, let me go through my gnomes, and then we are going to wish you all happy holidays and Merry Christmas and all that stuff, and talk about our sale and go do our day. So, y'all probably, I'm going to do them in the order I made them. We can review. This is my beer hop gnome. He has a little... Cute. He's got a beer hop hat. He's for my brother-in-law. And he has a little stein of beer. It's so cute. I will make sure that the links for all of these, because they're almost all by different pattern writers, is in the description if you want to find them. So he's the only one who has like a removable accessory. I think everything else is going to be sewn on. I'm almost done. I have to make a walking staff for the last one. So we have the beer hop gnome. Gonna see if I put them out, and they mostly stay upright. I'm gonna move the mic a little. The next one I made was for my niece. It is the cat gnome, and I've learned you can scrunch the hats that don't have stuffing in them for fun. The cat gnome is the one gnome that you can take his hat off. All the others are attached, and he was really fun to make. I tried to overlap colors as much as I could. I think I used about a dozen different colors and balls. There's no way that these are going to be totally visible around the mic and stuff like that, but that's okay. So there's the cat gnome for my niece. And then we have the soccer ball hat gnome, and the brim keeps wanting to fold up. I really like it when it's down low like this, but it keeps wanting to pop up like that. I haven't sewn it down, but I think it's okay because it has options. But this is the soccer ball hat gnome for my nephew. And some of them I have to squish them to make sure they don't fall over. But
it's a thing.
Right? It's a thing. We have the hydrangea flower gnome for my mom who gardens. I'm going to put that one over here. Move stuff out of the way. We have the Hawaii gnome. I always need to comb out their beards and their grass skirts and things. The Hawaii gnome for my sister, who likes to plan vacations. And the grand reveal of the one I finished this morning, except for the walking staff. This is... He's a wizard gnome, but I'm going to make him a hiking gnome so he can do the little crunchy thing with his hat. Isn't that cute?
I like it.
I got his beard on this morning. This is the one that I'm not sure if I want to make his beard fuzzy. I kind of like it like this.
Kind of like it like that.
Kind of like it like this. It's like, I changed it a little. You're supposed to make it like off the face and then attach it, but I attached it like I did the other ones. I just sewed his hat on this morning. He's different. He's not as firmly stuffed as the others because it wasn't a stuff and close him up. It was a stuff and put the hat on, and there was no way I could put enough stuffing in. So he's a lot squishier than the other ones, and he doesn't weigh as much as the other ones. But I think he's still... So he looks a little smaller because I didn't stuff him as much, because I couldn't, because it was a cup that I put the hat on rather than a round thing that I closed off and stuffed full. And I can't say which one I like better, but yeah, he looks a little smaller than the others, but I followed the pattern, right? So they're all roughly the same base. Like his base, his bottom is about the same width as everybody else's. but because I couldn't firmly pack it without it puffing out the top of his head. But I've come too far.
But I think
these guys are all a little shorter. Like, what?
Move your mom over next to your
Knock
dad.
them over.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There.
That's true. They're the same. Look at that. They kind of match height-wise.
They'll work well together.
What's going on in the front there? I'm just seeing things in the camera, I think. No, that's the microphone cord. That's why. Which then turns the mic towards me. Anyway. Yeah, so here's my family of gnomes that are going to be Christmas presents. And, let's see, let me turn him a little bit and move that. There we go. A little better. So, the gnomes are done. I've sewn all the ends in. He just needs a walking stick so he looks more like a hiker. Like, Carol was saying, hey, do you want to put a backpack on him? I am so done at this point. I think and he needs a walking staff, which I will make out of crochet. I'll make it like the Viking spear that I did before. And they all fit into this little basket coming in. So I'm hoping that they will all fit into... this is going to be my carry-on item. And I'm going to put them all into one of my project shop bags. And... I might put things around them so like my family doesn't see them. I might pack something around them so that it's not completely visible what they are. Or I'll shove something in there on the last flight because I don't mind if security is like, oh look, cute gnomes. But I want to keep it. I
thought about that.
Well, I also any of my family that actually pays attention to my business social media page, which I don't know if they do or not, already has seen all of these. Because I haven't really been hiding them. I've been putting them more in stories, but morning meditations, people have seen them. But you have a thought? Do you want to share that on camera? Or do you want to wait?
I can wait.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean that as a good or
just
bad thing.
Remind me about my thought.
I have a lot of, like, rearranging and packing to do, but I think I can get all of these in here so that in case my luggage gets lost, I still have my Christmas presents. And I can put my underwear and toiletries around it. So they can't tell. I'll just show that to the world, but not my Christmas presents. So, you know. Anyway, so yes, we have been saying it all week, but I'll say it again. That we wish you all a lovely holiday, and we're gonna have a lovely holiday. But tomorrow is our last day until the new year of the shop being open. If you want to come get last minute presents, come tomorrow. Don't come Saturday. And we will have sit and stitch. We will have virtual sit and stitch tomorrow night. I may be frantically running around and packing while sit and stitch is happening. But we will have virtual sit and stitch Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. on Zoom. You can get in with the shop phone number.
828-877-3550.
And then the shop will be closed from December 24th to January 2nd. I always pause on that. I have to change the message on the answering machine too to say that at some point soon. And during that time we will not have virtual sit and stitch. We will not be filming on a regular schedule. We may do a special pop-up, but we can't promise that. So don't panic if you don't see us next week. We are enjoying some time off. We will update you all when we come back. January 3rd is when everything recommences with normal hours and filming and sit and stitch and all that good stuff. While we are gone, though, you can save in the online shop with the code Holiday Break. All smushed, all the letters smushed together. Holiday Break, no spaces, all together as one phrase. In the online shop, you can save 20% on everything but the things already on sale and the pre-orders, like the Viking shirts. And I continually remind you, we keep getting Viking shirt orders in, which is wonderful. We need quite a few more before we can order. We're getting close, but we definitely need more Viking shirt pre-orders before we can place that order. So consider doing that. You can totally add it to your cart over the break, like add a bunch of things in and put that code in, and the code will deduct from the items it can, and will leave off the items it can't. You don't worry about mixing things into a purchase. When you put the code in, it will deduct from the things that are eligible.
It's kind of like our product of the week code.
Yeah, Yeah, you can put a bunch of things in there and use that code, and it'll only work on what it's supposed to. We will be filling those orders when we come back in January. Email me if there are any issues trying to use that code, or if you have questions. I'll reply if and when I can. But even if I can't reply until I get back, because you emailed me during the sale, we can figure things out. But the one thing I'll say we can't negotiate and wiggle around is if you email me about something you'd like to buy but it's not in the online shop, I cannot offer you the discount on that because it really only applies to the things that are in the online shop. There are a few items in the shop we have not gotten online yet. There's some staples and basics that we haven't gotten online yet because we have so much of them, like a lot of the Cascade 220s. I haven't put that online yet, so that won't qualify for the sale. That's a lot of work, and I'm still figuring out when and if I can do that. But there's other ways to get discounts on that stuff. If you spend enough money with us, you get shop credit, and then you can use that on things that are not on sale. Because shop credit doesn't combine with sale stuff. It's one or the other. And shop credit doesn't work in the online shop, so you have to wait to use that till we get back anyway. So, anything else?
No.
Ooh, you want to show off your pretty Christmas? We haven't been showing off your Christmas dresses.
I haven't worn this one for filming, so this is a...
So before we go, it's like a really cute winter time. Like, you don't have to... You could wear that outside of Christmas time,
I will wear it outside of Christmas. It looks like almost like a blue wood, with the... With
snowflakes.
With snowflakes. And
it's super pretty.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me doing... And the lacy hearts at the bottom. I think those are so cute.
And I have a blue flannel underneath.
Blue flannel plaid underneath. It's da-da! So, everybody have Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the other holidays, the winter solstice type things that might be going on right now. I hope you find people that you trust and care about to celebrate things with. We will be doing the same. And we wish you much joyousness. If you haven't considered subscribing already, if you're not already subscribed, think about doing that.
Ring the bell,
all
the
the
fun
things
stuff
that help the algorithms, and we are inching our way. We're at 1,300 something.
30.
It doesn't really matter too much. It's just like we're inching towards, at 1,500 we can have another YouTube only sale. I think it's going to take us a little while to get there, but every little bit helps. If you'd like to support monetarily the work that we do here, you can go over to patreon.com/sundragon, and every little bit there helps too. We appreciate y'all at whatever you can do for us, even if it's just hitting that thumbs up button on this video. So bye everybody. Bye. Have a good rest of your December, and we'll see you in 2023. That is just crazy.
2023. Oh my gosh.
2023.
I'm not ready.
Bye.
Bye.
Are we ever ready?
Nope.